Aakansha Doshi, an open source enthusiast and core maintainer at Project Excalidraw. She is a principal software engineer at Prophecy and a passionate contributor to projects like Excalidraw, React Tags, and Mermaid to Excalidraw. In her dev talk, Building in Open Source, Collaborate, Contribute, and Create, Aakansha will share her journey in open source and guide students on how to start contributing effectively. Let's give a warm round of applause to Ms. Aakansha.
Hey, hello everyone. So I'm super excited to be here. I have spoken at conferences in the past, but this is the first college event where I'm speaking, and this is my first time in Bangalore, and I'm really liking it so far. So this college, so Rishal was actually taking me around the campus yesterday and took me to the labs, and I was really amazed to see the agentic AI labs. I think there was some robotics lab, and the stuff you folks are building, it's actually awesome. And this is the first time I'm actually seeing a college focused on open source and college motivating the students to, do open source. That's really great. So can we have a round of applause for you folks, the Sayadri College? Awesome. So coming back to this topic, why I'm talking about open source today. So I have been contributing to open source for past 6 years, and this is a question which I have often asked from the students specifically, that how can I get started with open source? What are the projects I should be targeting? How should I basically start doing it? And that's why I thought, okay, maybe let's talk about the 3 phases behind open source, the 3 C's of open source: collaborate, contribute, and create. So before I begin, a quick introduction, even though the MC introduced me, but I have a slide for it, so let's just go through it once. So yeah, I'm Aakansha, I'm a principal front-end engineer at Prophecy. I'm an open source maintainer of projects like Excalidraw, React Tags, Mermaid to Excalidraw, and a couple of more libraries. Anyone has used Excalidraw here? Okay, great. So yeah, and these are my socials. I would love to connect with you folks. If you want to talk about front-end, JavaScript, open source, accessibility, anything, I'm all in. So yeah, okay, then let's get started with the talk. Okay, so I want to keep this talk very interactive. I don't want to keep it one-sided where I'm the one speaking and you folks are just the listeners. So a question to you all: what exactly is open source to you? Anything. I don't want any exact definition. Like, what comes to your mind if I ask you what is open source? Anyone?
Community built projects which are not incentivized by money.
Yeah, community built projects. Anyone else?
Projects which could be used by anyone.
Great, awesome. So open source is basically, it is not just limited to code. That is a myth which people have. It could be hardware, software, transparency. Basically, open source is something which is easily accessible to all. As you mentioned, community projects, or where you can just easily access it. It could be some learning materials as well. If you are building some YouTube sessions, or you're writing some blogs about some frameworks or some topic which really excites you, that's also open source because it's easily accessible to everyone. It could be community events. SOSC is doing a community event, so that also falls under the open source category. So it could be hardware, software, design, anything which is easily accessible to all. All the categories might not be mentioned here, but a simple definition would be that what is easily accessible to everyone, that you can call it as open source. So why open source? Okay, so this is again a question where people ask that why should I make something open source? What is the benefit behind this, or what are the advantages behind this? Those who have maybe use some open source project, I would like to hear it from them. Why do you think libraries should be open source? Anyone who has used any open source project, what is the benefit of it?
Easier to find bugs, and a lot of people will use it, and they can work on the bugs, people can fix it.
Yeah, so basically, since if the code is open source, you users are actually the testers of the product, so you can actually report the bugs, and even you can go and fix it. So that's one benefit. Anyone else?
Transparency.
Yeah, transparency. So basically, first is that when you are building something open source, you actually are learning. That's the growth for you. That is the growth which you are getting. So first point is learning. Second is community. You are not the only one who is actually building it. When you are building something open source, you are actually building a community around you as well. The people around you who are collaborating with you to make the project better. So tomorrow, if let's say you build something open source, you spend, let's say, a couple of months or a couple of years, and then later you don't have really time to maintain your project, but you have a community behind it and they can actually take it over. So your project still keeps going. That's one of the greatest benefits of making it open source. Credibility. So people will recognize you by your work because everything is in the open world. So it would be how do you feel when if you go to some event and someone says that, hey, I used that feature which is made by you. You feel really good that yeah, I made that feature. So it gives you recognition for your work because your work is there in the open world. So you basically earn that recognition as well. Freedom, because you don't really have any boundaries. Whichever topic or whatever idea you have in mind, you just build it, and then slowly the community will be formed and you can keep on improving your project further. Impact. So it has a huge impact because it's reaching millions of people around the world since it's it's an open source project. So you are actually creating a huge impact, and people who are using it, they will be your testers because they'll be reporting bugs, they will be helping you make it better, and that's how the project keeps on growing. So this is why the open source libraries help us. Even if you talk about any apps or any such big projects or any small projects which are there, or if you are building something, I'm pretty sure that you will have to use some open source library. You cannot build anything without open source. For example, let's consider if you are using your laptop, you are using Firefox. Just imagine if you have to pay for Firefox. Just imagine if you have to pay for using a browser. JavaScript is open source. If you have to pay for it, then how will the world, what place the world will be in when we have to pay for all these things? So if you are into backend, Python is open source. If you are into front end, React is open source. So there are so many open source libraries on top of which you are actually building your project. So without open source, the world will not be in a good place. So the next question is, how does one get started with open source? And for this, let's look at the 3 C's of open source: collaborate, contribute, and create. So let's start with collaboration. Now, how do you actually start collaborating? How do you initiate the collaboration for open source? Well, collaboration basically comes with curiosity, the urge to learn something, the urge to fix something, the urge to build something. That is how the collaboration is initiated. Now, the next thing is, but how do you start collaborating, or where do you start collaborating? Which projects will you target, and how will you understand that which are the projects I should be targeting to collaborate in open source? So the answer to that is, never ever look for projects. Instead, look around yourself and understand if there is anything which you can improve in the daily tools you are using. If you can make that better, or if you can build something to improve that tooling. So you should never look for projects. Instead, look for problems around the tools which you are using. It could be tools, it could be if I take an example of your college, maybe if you think that okay, right now let's say AI is at its hype, and you want to educate your peers about it, how you can use it to build some learning models. That is something where the community thinks comes into the picture. So maybe you can create some learning sessions around it. So basically, try to understand what are the things around you which can be improved. So never look for projects. Instead, actually try looking for the problems. So observe the pain points in the tools you are using. It's not okay. So observe the pain points which you are using in the tools. It could be any, like if it's a coding project, just try to just think about whichever libraries you are using, and there will be at least 10 things coming to your mind where you could think that, hey, I wish this could have been supported in this library. That could have made my life easier. So think about the pain points which are around you in whatever things you are actually currently using. That will actually initiate the first point of collaboration. check if there is an open discussion around it, around the problem you are facing, and if it's not there, please go ahead and open one. Most of the time what happens is we know that there is this bug in this library X, but okay, I'll see when this gets fixed, but we don't ourselves participate in it. We don't ourselves say that, hey, I need this to be fixed, can someone please look into this, or can I help in fixing it? So if there is an open discussion, please share your vote into that, because when open source doesn't work like closed companies where a customer requests a bug and the company will fix it because the customer is a paid customer. Open source works like, if the community needs something to be fixed, is there a good usage for this feature? Should we be building it? How will people be using it? Unless and until you have that viewpoint from everyone, it's not easy to take decisions. It's not easy to progress the project unless and until we have a strong confidence on whether we should be building this. So if you ever come across any such issues, please do participate in the discussions or open an issue if there is no issue around, no discussion around it. And when it comes to sharing the feedback, it's actually very important how you share your feedback. It should be shared in a very constructive way. So what I mean by constructive way is the feedback tone matters a lot in open source community. How you are communicating to the users about the improvements you need in the, let's say, some library, it actually matters how you are communicating. So let's look at few examples. Let's say, for example, you are using some library X which has some bugs and some missing features or maybe some missing documentation. How should you actually go about and report it to the library maintainers? So let's say, something is not working. So instead of just saying, why is this not working? This sounds like a complaint tone, not really a suggestion. Instead of this, you can say, hey, I am facing an issue with this feature. Can someone look into it and confirm if it's reproducible? So the communication, the output is same, but the way you are communicating is actually makes a lot of difference to the maintainers. So always be in a suggestive tone instead of a negative tone or a complaint tone. Why is this? Let's say some issue has been there for a couple of months or a couple of years, and it's really important for your company to fix that, to get this issue fixed. So instead of commenting on the discussion forum and saying that, hey, why is this not fixed yet? We can always say, hey, I noticed this issue is still open. So is there anything I can help? So this also communicates that you are also ready to help. So this actually starts a collaboration as well, that you are also ready to help if you have a bandwidth issue. If there is no one to help with it, I am also available to take it up. This is just broken. Sometimes you might feel annoyed that, hey, why this is not fixed yet? Why is this not been taken up yet? It has been open for years, but you are not the maintainers are not fixing it. So instead of just saying this is just broken, we can always say that, hey, I ran into this bug, and here are the steps to produce it. So instead of just saying that something is broken without any footprint of it, that what is exactly broken and why, how do I reach this stage, you can always share the steps. That these are the steps, please look into it, and if this I would love to get this resolved. So one thing we have to always keep in mind is that most of the open source projects are run by maintainers on their free time. So we have to respect that as well. So we should always keep our tone in a suggestive way and not in a way where it's a demand or it's a complaint. Why is this so slow? Like some feature might be very slow. So instead of saying, we can say that, hey, I observed some performance lag here, and just share a recording of it. So that helps the maintainer to debug it further as well, instead of just saying that why this is not working or why is this so slow. Is someone even looking into it? This is often, I have come across this where some issue is open and maintainers are not getting time to fix it because it's a low priority issue or they don't have bandwidth, things like that. And people often say that, hey, is someone even looking at it? This is again a very negative tone. Gentle reminder, would love to get this resolved. Are there any plans to resolve this? So this is again a suggestive way to look at the same matter. Documentation is something which is very powerful. to onboard the beginners or onboard new members to the project, but it may be that documentation is missing in some of the projects. And in that case, instead of having a complaint on, hey, why don't you have documentation for this? We can always say that, I could not find documentation for this part. Is there something I can help with? I can open a pull request for this and I can actually add it myself. So this basically helps to set the collaboration tone. Always, like whenever you are using an open source library, always communicate in a suggestive tone and approachable tone, instead of saying that why this should have been working but it is not. So that tone actually matters a lot. So yeah, this was about the feedback tone, and basically how you actually initiate your feedbacks or initiate your suggestions. This actually sets the tone for the collaboration. So this is basically an issue in Excalidraw. So I would just share a little bit of background story here. So I was at HackerRank, and this is during that time when the COVID had hit the entire world and everything was going into the virtual zone. So in HackerRank is an interview platform, and we wanted to integrate a whiteboard for the interviewers, the candidates, so that they can actually solve problems using the whiteboard. Now, Excalidraw is what we wanted to integrate into HackerRank, and Excalidraw was also just launched in 2020, January, and this is around April. So I was given the task to integrate Excalidraw into HackerRank. Now, the thing is that Excalidraw was built as a standalone application which you can't just embed into a third-party app. By third-party app, I mean any product. So I wanted to look for a solution where instead of just embedding it as an iframe, if I can control the internal APIs, if I can customize, hey, I want to show this part of Excalidraw, I want to hide this part of UI, I want to have access to the internal APIs, to the internal drawings, and so on, like very powerful APIs so that I can actually control it from outside. Now, I investigated into the GitHub repo, and I came across this particular issue by HiQ. I hope I am pronouncing it correctly. So, there was already an open issue regarding this, and they also had a similar requirement. So if you just read through it, it says that I want to integrate it inside a website instead of embedding it as an iframe. So they just want a component. Anyone has actually learned React here? Okay, so we don't need to go deeper into what is React, but let's just consider that you basically want to embed something in your website, and you want the control of how you can access the internal APIs of it. So this is the similar use case. Now this was basically this basically gave me another use case that I'm not the only one looking for a solution. There is someone else also. So this basically sets a point for collaboration. I'll actually go deeper into this in my next slide, but opening this issue actually helped a lot of other people as well to further why this component or why this package should be built. It basically sets the first, you can say, use case for it. And after that, I'll just go a bit deeper into my next slide at what happened next. So this was one of the issues. Now, this is, again, anyone has worked with Vite here? Okay, so I was basically integrating Vite into Excalidraw, moving away from Create React app, and Vite was at a very early stage during that time, and this I think is Vite plugin PWA, Progressive Web Apps, where you can just download it from Chrome and use it offline. That's what a progressive web app is. So there was some issue which I faced, and I just went ahead and opened it in their repo, saying that, hey, there is this navigate fallback deny list which is not working. It should basically avoid pre-caching, but it's not working. We don't need to go into technicals of it right now. That would require me another deep dive talk. But this was basically an issue, and I opened it here. Now, the maintainer of this, if you can just scroll, if you can slowly scroll, there are so many back and forths. User Queen was the maintainer. If you see, I again replied back. Again, I got a reply from them. Again, I replied. And if you see, if you go on and on and on, it kept on going. And this is how we were collaborating. It was all in GitHub. This was not a code contribution from my side into Wheat. I was implementing it in Excalidraw, but the maintainer actually went out of his way to actually help me out. So that is the power of collaboration. And I just wanted to show this to make you understand that how collaboration actually works in open source. So it's very long if you want to, if there is no need to go through it, but it's just a very long conversation which we had, and it was there for a couple of months, and then finally it was resolved. So if you see my last comment, hey, hi userquin, since all the queries related to integration has been resolved, I'm closing this, and this was in September. So this is one example where I myself learned a lot as well. Like collaboration is very powerful and not just limited to code. So yeah, and I think we can go back to the slides. This is again, React has anyone used React here? Okay, so if you know, React had formed a working group when releasing React 18, and a lot of maintainers, educators, and people from the community were invited. So I was also invited to be part of this working group, and our part, how we could contribute is we could test the release, we could since I have been a maintainer of Excalidraw, how React 18 changes would impact Excalidraw. Does the features which are built are in a state where community can actually adopt it well. So those things were responsibility of the working committee, working group. So here is just an example where I suggested that, hey, there was some concurrent features which was introduced in React 18, and there was a concurrent mode earlier in some of the previous versions. So the confusion between these these both things were different, so this could confuse the users. So what I suggested is, if we can have a separate section for concurrent mode, so it doesn't confuse the user. That was the main discussion around this. I think the slides will be shared, so you can actually open it and go through it if you are interested. And then Ricky from the core team actually created a section, you can see in the comment, what happened to concurrent mode. So this is basically communicating to the users in a better way via helping and making sure that it reaches to the users when, this was basically when the React 18 was not yet released. So once it is released, community can actually get a very well adoption. So that was basically again, this is an example of collaboration. So React working group was basically a collaboration between the users of React and the React core team. This is another example. So as we say, that it's generally it's, when it comes to open source, it's mainly about how you code or how you build your software or hardware. But this is an example where we got a collaboration from Anumita for design. So if you can just open this once. So if you see this, so this design is basically for when you install the progressive web app, the screenshots which actually come into. So if you see, we had multiple variations for this. So can you just go down? Yeah, so this was one variation down. Yeah, keep going. So this was one variation you can see. Then there were another variation here, if you see, and then another variation. So it kept on going, and this was a design collaboration. So this is actually an example that it's like, if you are into design, you can still participate in open source projects, because open source projects always need help from the community to build in every possible way. So yeah, then she actually went ahead and created a PR as well to resolve this. But this was a very good example of how design can actually help the open source community. We can go back to the slides. So yeah, it's basically that once you start into collaboration and reporting the issues or giving the feedback, you are no longer a user, but you are actually becoming a contributor. So that's how the first phase ends and the second phase actually begins. So now you're already a contributor to that project or to that open source thing which you are actually participating in. So now we can actually go into the contribute phase. So contribution, again, it's not just code we just saw. It could be design, it could be community, it could be like volunteering, what some of you folks are already doing, volunteering for SOSC event. So that's also part of the open source community events. So yeah, I mean, reporting already, and now I think a lot of context will be more clear because collaboration is the main phase, and once that is initiated, the other things actually just follow. So reporting or reproducing bugs, improving documentation is actually one very good way of participating in an open source project, because documentation helps new members also to onboard it and previous maintainers also to get context of why this was done and why this was not done. Reviewing pull requests, if you are if there is some framework or some skills which actually excites you, you can also help in reviewing pull request. Sharing design or UX feedback is always welcome. Submitting small fixes or features, helping with design and accessibility, and yeah, volunteering at community events or meetups, sharing knowledge via talks, blogs, tutorials, whatever you feel is the best way to, so that it reaches the maximum community. But once you find the project interesting, so as I mentioned earlier, that if like always target those projects where you think is going to improve your workflow. Don't just go for any projects blindly. That is not going to be sustain or keep it. That is not going to be consistent for a longer time. Maybe you will come across some fun project, you will contribute to it maybe 1 month, 2 months, but since you are not using it, it will just stop at some moment. So always look for the projects or look for the things which are actually useful to you, and then if that project sounds interesting, you can also target the good first issues if you want to keep contributing to it. So yeah. And yeah, so basically again, now I can continue the background story which I left earlier. So what happened after I came across this issue? Now can you actually open this issue? So this is a, so Haiku had a similar use case which I had. Now there was already a pull request which was created by someone, but it was not merged because unfortunately the team could not take this into priority at that time. And the amount of code change to actually implement it as a React component was very huge. So what now, that's where you can say, can you just go up a little bit? Yeah. So I just mentioned that, hey, I just shared my vote here that, hey, it would be great if we can export it as an NPM package. It can be easily integrated with customizations. And I was ready to, take this up. So after this, actually, this was around April. So after this, lot of back and forth help were happening between me and the core Excalidraw team. I was invited to the Twitter group, and then we were discussing it there. And then I had to create a presentation also that why we should be doing it. And then I created a fork and then made all the changes which I knew would be needed. And we actually released it as a forked library, so that just to understand if anyone apart from HackerRank is also going to use it. And fortunately, there are companies which actually started using it, so it turned out to be a good POC. And then in December, it was closed. So in December, we actually merged that code into the actual repo. So you can say it started in April, but ended in December. So around 8 months it took to convince the team. And that's how I became a maintainer of Excalidraw. I started maintaining the NPM package, and then I started participating in a lot of other things, like picking up other core Canvas features, and like a lot of things I started building into it. And yeah, that was my story of how I became a maintainer of Excalidraw. And now I don't get a lot of bandwidth, but whenever I get the bandwidth, I try to contribute back. So yeah, that was about this. Now we can go back to the slides. So this actually made me learn that patience is the key, because it was all in chats. We never got into any calls. Everything around these 8 months were all in chats, all in Discord or GitHub or the Twitter group. And this actually helped me in understanding that how patience and how this async working can also help you in open source. So yeah, it's like, yeah, just keep contributing long enough. If there is a project which actually excites you or using it, if you are improving it, if you are using it, you can actually help in improving it. And ultimately what will happen is you will stop waiting for new features and maybe you will start creating your own from scratch as well. Because when you are participating in open source projects or you are becoming a maintainer of open source projects, that gives you a lot of learning, and you might also have some ideas of, okay, what if I can use this in this direction, and you will start experimenting around those stuff as well. So you will basically start creating them. So the last phase, that is the create phase. Let's go into that. Create to solve a problem. Again, if there is an issue which you can see in some library and you have also participated into it, and let's say that issue was not in priority, and or the maintainer said that, hey, we cannot support this particular feature, then you can actually build your own version. If you think that it is a use case for the community, you can actually build your own version for the same, instead of waiting for plugging in your feature into the project, because maybe that project has a different roadmap and your feature doesn't fit in there, but you can always build your own version. Or just to learn and explore, that's also absolutely fine. If you want to learn something, if you want to learn the internals of something, if you want to understand how this particular tool works, let me just build a clone. So that's absolutely fine as well. Actually, I really believe in the second one. I really believe that building actually helps you to learn faster. So if you are investing time into something, do build stuff around it, because that actually gives you a lot of exposure and a lot of learning, new learnings as well. So experimentation is absolutely fine. Experiment with new tools, frameworks, or APIs. Recreate a project, like clone a project which you actually admire. Solve a problem. If you are already aware of a problem, just go ahead and solve it. You are already doing it. I think you have a lot of experimental projects running in your lab, so you are already doing this. Irrespective of whether it's open source or not, that's up to you, but you are already doing the third part. Share your learnings. Again, this is giving back to the community so that your peers actually learn from your projects. And you can always start small. If you have some idea, you can actually build a small prototype around it and share it with the community, and then wait for the feedback, and then decide how to progress on that project. So that actually gives you some insights. When you share it with the community, you get a lot of new ways to think as well, because people will share their use cases for your project, and that will help you to grow your project in a particular direction. So yeah, start your own meetup. You already have your SOSC community. So that is something, if you are really a community person where you want to do network, gather a lot of people, then the last one is a very good option to share the learnings and helping people learn about any particular skill as well. And yeah, I really strongly believe in this, that reinventing the wheel is actually a very good way to learn. It's not like if a tool exists, I should not be building it. No, I don't believe in that. If you want to understand, if you are a person who wants to get deeper into the internals of some tool, please go ahead and build it. That will not only make you understand how people are using it, but also how the internals are actually working, and you will get to learn a lot more, and maybe that can help you to build something which doesn't exist yet. So yeah. Now, just wanted to share some examples. So Viju from Meta is the person who actually created Excalidraw as a side project, because he wanted to learn how the canvas or how the whiteboard works internally, and he was using this app called Zwibbler, which had some squiggly boxes support which was removed. So he just thought, hey, maybe let's try creating one whiteboard, and that was Excalidraw, and it was adopted very nicely by the entire world, and a lot of us are actually using it. So maybe if you can just go ahead with this link, I'll just show you what is Excalidraw for the people who don't know. So maybe you can just open this link. So this is Excalidraw. It's a whiteboard. It's a virtual whiteboard, and you don't have any login or sign up. It's completely open source, and you can just start drawing some shapes, or just a quick demo. So maybe you can just some shapes, or maybe just write something here. I think I'm not able to type it well. So you can see that it has this hand-drawn feeling, which is basically one of the reasons why people use Excalidraw, because you have this handwritten style in it. So there are a lot of, there is images support. You can actually use AI as well to generate the diagrams. You can add text into this as well. So there are a lot of these things. The minimal things which are actually needed for a whiteboard to work, that's what you have in this. And you can actually go and explore this particular project and see if there is anything which which you would want to implement, and it's missing here. So we can go back to the slides. So since I have been a maintainer of Excalidraw, I started experimenting around stuff. So a month back, I actually released this particular project, which is Excalireact. So why I did this is I want to understand, like, it's still an experimental project. It's a prototype basically. So I wanted to understand how I can generate code from canvas. So that's the project around it. So yeah, I'm just sharing this so that just to make you understand that it's okay to experiment around stuff. It's okay to reinvent the wheel. You keep on learning as you actually go into it, deeper into it. So maybe you can just open this once. Yeah, so basically on the left side is the drawing with the tool which I just showed you earlier. This is Excalidraw. On the right side, it's actually a code. So this is the code which is being generated. You can actually check the code. I think it takes some time to load. Yeah, this is actually the React code which is basically being generated. So this is just an experimental project. There are a lot of things which I would want to try out here. So yeah, it basically, if you move it around and everything, you add new things into it, basically the code gets updated in runtime. So yeah, this is again an experimental project which I have just built to understand the stuff around it. Can we go back to the slides? Yeah. This was again a very old library which I had made when I was reading about Levenshtein distance algorithm. It's a fuzzy search library. Even though there are a lot of libraries which existed, but I wanted to just still make my own library to understand how things work internally. So this is that library. This is a fun project which I had made a couple of years back when I was reading about encryption, when I was reading about web crypto APIs, how you can actually encrypt the stuff in the browser itself. So basically this doesn't use any tool. It just uses the browser APIs to actually encrypt your data. And this is the same technology we use in Excalidraw as well to encrypt the data. So when you are sharing your drawings with someone in Excalidraw, your drawings are encrypted in the browser with the help of web crypto APIs. So I'll need another talk to dive deeper into what are web crypto APIs. So I'll skip that session, but I can just show you this fun project which I had created as a part of my talk about end-to-end encryption. So can you just open this? So maybe let's type in some message here. So what it does is basically, instead of converting your text into the bytes or gibberish form, it basically converts it into encrypted emojis. That was the basically idea of this project. So if I try typing it here, let's type something about Sahyadri College. Let's say Sahyadri College is the best, and okay, let's say Sahyadri College is the best, and let me type some password here. So basically, you need to share your password with your friend if you are using this, and basically when you click on encrypt, it basically gives you this emojis. Now this is your secret text, and then I think something is not rendering right there. It's a bug which I need to fix. The copy icon is not rendering even if you say that text is actually encrypt and decrypt, but I think there is some, I have not tested it in Windows. I use Macs, I have not tested it in Windows. So yeah, this is a bug which I'll need to fix. So if you go to, if I copy this and I paste it here, so now I need to enter the password, and yeah, it's decrypted. So this way you can actually, this is basically a fun project which I had created to understand how I can use web crypto APIs to share things, to share some secret messages with my friends. Can we go back to the slides? Yeah. This is a community meetup which, so I have been doing community meetups for past 3 years, focused on open source. So this is one of those meetups. I do it in Bangalore, and we have a team who actually, we have a 10 to 12 people team which actually take care of making sure organizing these meetups and having the speakers. And one of the main reasons for this is not just open source, but also encouraging women to actually come and speak at events, because there are very, very less women when it comes to STEM. So that was also one of the reasons. And yeah, with this, we actually end the create phase as well. Okay, so this last question for you all. Whatever I talked about, do you really need to be an open sourcer? What do you think? What do you think? It's a good thing. But is it necessary?
Depends on the person. But
Yes. So there is this myth going on around among the college students that contributing to open source is a necessity, and that's why they often keep on targeting projects and just submitting pull requests to have a contribution in the open source projects. But that is not a necessary thing. It's obviously good to have. It is something which will add to your credibility. It will also help your resume make it more stronger, because companies can actually check out your contributions right there in GitHub. If it's a project, if it's a community, their post, they can check. But again, don't take a pressure of contributing to open source just because it's going to help you in, it's going to add weight to your resume. If it is something interesting and it makes you exciting, it makes you interested, then only just go for it and make something open source, or maybe help some library which you are using to improve it. But don't take the pressure of being an open source just because it's a fancy thing going around. So yeah, it's a good thing, but not a necessity. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. So yeah, just going around the takeaways, look for problems and not projects. Always look for problems to solve, and don't target any specific project. Collaborate, share ideas, feedback with the community. That actually helps you to collaborate with any project at your bandwidth. If you don't have enough bandwidth, you can just submit issues. No, you don't have the bandwidth to actually resolve it, that's absolutely fine. Collaborate at your own pace. Contribute again, however things you are interested in. If it's code, if it's design, if it's just some suggestions around UI, that's absolutely fine as well. And create, like the way, if there's a problem you want to solve, just go ahead and create it. If you want to understand the internals, go ahead and reinvent the wheel. I have been doing that for quite some time, so I really believe in that. And that's that's all from my side. Thank you. And I would like to thank Kushal, Arvind, Rishal, and the entire SOSC volunteering team for having me. And yeah, these are my socials, and I'll be around here if you have any questions. Just we can catch up. So yeah, thank you so much.
We'll give you a minute over. She'll give you a minute to take a photo.
A big thank you to Mrs. Aakansha Doshi for an inspiring session on open source collaboration and her journey with Excalidraw. She showed how open source isn't just about coding, but also about creating, designing, and building together. We, as an open source community, walked away with fresh insights on what it truly means to collaborate, contribute, and create. As a token of appreciation, I would now like to invite Pradeep Shetty to have the word of the moment. have any questions, you can ask ma'am right now.
You talked about the open source contribution. So there is a
So I'll get a mic maybe.
so ma'am, right now Google's code of summary is also coming. So they haven't released the list yet. Like if someone is interested in that, so which project should he take up? Like do to get the list.
So I mean, it depends on your interest actually. Like whatever you are learning right now, look for those particular projects. Like, I mean, I would not say depends on your skills. You can always learn new skills, but setting up a target for a particular project, I think you will also have mentors to guide you as well, right? So I think those things you can actually, I'm pretty sure I have not participated in GSOC, but there must be some forum where you can actually discuss that, hey, I'm interested in, these projects and I would like to participate in these things. So can someone help me in doing this? So I think that is the best way to go instead of targeting a specific project. If there is a discussion forum, just go ahead and share whatever you have in mind transparently, and you will definitely get some good suggestions from the GSOC mentors who are actually going to help you and work with you there. Answers your question?
Yes.
Any other questions?
So hello ma'am. My question was regarding what was your first open source contribution and like the technical detail behind it. Was it something that like you were just going through something and decided, oh, this is a problem, I want to fix it, or you wanted to contribute, so you went looking for it and then came across it?
Yeah, I think I was waiting for this question. As I told, I have never looked for any project yet. There hasn't been any like that's where I was focusing more on, like, look for problems. So when I was in HackerRank, my first contribution was into React tags. We were using this library and there was this issue. React tag is basically a tagging library. It basically helps you to add tags. So I had a use case where we wanted to avoid duplicate tags, and that was not supported in that library. So I just opened an issue regarding that, and it was not picked by anyone. I just said, hey, I can actually pick it up. So I always wanted to fix it myself. That is something, an urge I always have. If there is an issue in some library which I am using, I will just go ahead and try to fix it from my side. So that's how my contribution in the first open source repository started. And then since we were using that library in HackerRank, there were a couple of other issues. I had a list of the issues which we wanted to fix, so I just kept on fixing it, and I reached out to the maintainer that, hey, if you are looking for maintainers, I would love to maintain the library. So that's how I became a maintainer of that library. And Excalidraw, I already shared the story. So there was this, I wanted an external component, build a component, an API around Excalidraw, and we were using it in HackerRank. So that's how I became a maintainer of Excalidraw. And then Excalidraw was forming a company, so I joined it as a full-time founding engineer into Excalidraw, and that's how I worked on the core features and a lot of things of making the project better. So that has always been my open source journey. Like, I always, whatever I'm using at my work, if there is some issue around it, I try to fix it, and that's how my contribution actually starts.
I'd like to know your opinion on free software foundation, basically. Like, there's open source, there is free, right? Free as in freedom. So let's say there's an open source project and someone like uses an MIT license, and the other person like repurposes the same code and like sells it. So what's your opinion on that?
So there is a saying that what is open source is not free. So now here is your mindset, how you think about it. When you have something free and open source, Excalidraw is a FOSS project. It's free and it's open source. We have a paid version as well, which is called Excalidraw Plus. That's how the project is sustained. So now it's an MIT project. Anyone can actually use it. HackerRank is using it. a lot of other Excalidraw Plus, which is the paid version, they are also using it, the free version, like the NPM package which we had built. A lot of other companies are using it and they're making money out of it. So that is completely fine. But what we need is credibility, that mention your website, you are using Excalidraw. That actually gives, you are giving back to the community. Or if your company is using it, if you can sponsor the project in whatever way you want, we have a sponsorship as well, like in all the open source projects. So that's something which is getting better in India now. If I take a look at decade back, then people were not even, in India especially, we were at a stage where no one cares about open source, but now it's getting better. Like in college also, open source community is being formed, right? This was not there if I look a couple of years back, or if I think about my college time. So things are getting better. Whenever you are using an open source software, which is freely available, which is, the license allows you to freely use it and commercialize it, just add a mention of it in your website that you are using it. If you are not doing that, then that is not good. People, I'm pretty sure a lot of companies are using the open source projects where I am one of the maintainers, but not every company actually mentions it. We get to know only about the companies who are mentioning it, because you can't track it.
So the companies are not obligated to do that. Like
No, the license allows you. So there are different kinds of licenses. So MIT will actually allow you to commercialize it at your own way. There is no, but there are other kind of licenses. I think Excalidraw is another project, which is again similar to Excalidraw. It's a whiteboard as well, but you cannot use it. If you use it, you will have to, I think, there is some specific pay which you have to do, how many users you have based on that. So that is, so I think their license, I don't remember, but their license doesn't allow you to actually use it and commercialize it. So that way they are sustaining it. So it's a choice how you want to do it. It's up to you how you want to do it. If you want to make it free and available and MIT license, that's also fine. But if the companies or the projects which are actually using it can add a mention, or maybe give back to the community via sponsoring it, because you are making money out of it. So just give some back to the community, so it can help the maintainers to sustain it. So that's up to them. So yeah, and if you don't have like a way to sustain, because sustainability is difficult when it comes to open source. I have been an independent open source maintainer where I tried sustaining my contributions just via the funds, and it didn't work out. So I started freelancing. So I have done that. I wanted to experiment around this thing, that am I able to sustain it? It didn't work out for me. It didn't work out for me well. But yeah, so that's where sponsorships actually really helps. If you are making money out of it, then it's always fair to actually give it back to the community as well.
thank you.
Yeah. And anything else?
Thank you, ma'am. You can go for a break now.